welcome back to Intuition. You know, one of my pet peeves in life is the utter lack of respect that so many people have for science and education. And it's kind of bizarre to me that that's the case, because if you think about it, education historically was only for the aristocrat, only people who had money, people who can afford leisure time to be able to go to school and learn were able to get an education. That was something that was prohibited for most people. Unless you were an aristocrat gentleman, you basically did not have access to an education. And if you were a slave, even the thought of trying to learn how to read and educate yourself would have been considered a capital crime. But now we live in the modern era, and now for some reason, people could not care less about it. And that's very unfortunate, because this was something that was once considered a luxury, and now it's considered a nuisance. And what's unfortunate about it is that it's gotten to the point where you can even become president and not even appreciate science and have no respect for it, which is crazy to me. So in today's video, I definitely want to help shift gears and to try to move people in a direction where they have a greater appreciation for science and they see how it works. So in today's video, we're going to tackle 3 questions to make sure that you understand basic science concepts. Okay, so let's dive into it. Question number 1. So question number 1 states, which of the following statements falsely characterizes how molecules are situated within a solid, liquid, or gas? Okay, so it's a straightforward question. For the most part, we know that there are 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. And we're asked to pick out the answer choice that falsely characterizes one of these states of matter. So let's go ahead and look at the answer choices to see which one is incorrect. All right, A says, the molecules within a solid are bounded by covalent or ionic bonds, which are fairly rigid bonds. Okay, that's completely accurate, right? A solid is something that's rigid, whether it's a table or a piece of iron, which means that the molecules or the atoms that the solid is made up of are tightly bound to each other. So for the most part, molecules within a solid can only vibrate. They can't move around and rotate freely. They're tightly bound and they're rigid. Okay, B says, molecules within a gas are confined to the area in which they are aerosolized. Okay. Molecules within a gas can move in any direction that they want to move in. They can rotate freely, and there's also vibrational motion. I remember the president made a statement that he uses his hairspray inside his home, and therefore the hairspray should not impact the environment because he sprayed it inside his home. But that's a very silly argument, because obviously when something is in the air, it goes everywhere. It doesn't stay confined to his home. Molecules are very small objects, and they can circulate inside and outside of the home, even when you think the doors are closed. Just like the oxygen that you breathe when you're inside your home comes from outside, and when you breathe out CO2, the CO2 doesn't stay inside your home, it goes outside as well. Air circulates and air moves around randomly, so it doesn't stay confined to one area. And just to be thorough with the question, we go through the remaining answer choices. C says, liquids are typically held together by weak van der Waals or hydrogen bonds that allows them to have greater range of motion than solids. Yeah, that's true. When molecules are in a liquid state, they're not as rigid as they are when they're in a solid state. So in a liquid state, they're kind of free to move around a little bit. They can move around each other. They can rotate. They can even vibrate. But the difference is that the molecules are still held together. They're held together by weak bonds. So they still attract each other, which is why they don't become a gas, but they still have freedom to move around more so than they do when they're in a solid state. That's definitely true. Okay, and D says, an ideal gas is a hypothetical gas in which there are no intermolecular interactions between molecules. That's exactly what an ideal gas is. So the incorrect and correct answer choice for this question is answer choice B. All right, let's move on to question number 2. So question number 2 states, a chemical was shown to kill 99% of bacteria and viruses in vitro. What biological drug standards could keep this chemical from being given to patients systemically? This question comes from the idea of injecting bleach into a patient, because bleach kills 99% of bacteria and viruses. Now, that's true. Bleach kills 99% of bacteria and viruses on a petri dish in vitro, and theoretically, it would also kill 99% of bacteria and viruses in your body. But here's the problem. Bleach is a very harsh chemical that basically will kill all types of cells, and the human body is made up of cells. The way to determine whether a chemical can be given to a patient to treat an infection is to make sure that the chemical is safe. So you want a chemical that is specific and targeted towards a certain bacteria or certain virus. So that way it kills the bacteria and it kills the virus, but it leaves the healthy human cells alone. So when it comes to drug development for treating infections, you want to make sure that the drug is safe and it doesn't harm healthy human cells. And you want to make sure that the drug is well targeted, which means that the drug will specifically bind to the bacteria and the virus that you're trying to kill. Okay? So the correct answer here will be answer choice A, drug targeting and drug safety standards. Just because a drug is effective in vitro, which means outside of the body, doesn't mean that it's going to be effective in vivo inside the body. Okay? There's not a one-to-one correlation between those two things. And C and D will be incorrect because those are not biological standards, right? Drug costs and insurance, those are economical standards. And patient preference is more of patient standards, right? Not necessarily biological standards. So the correct answer is answer choice A. All right, let's go on to question number 3. Question number 3 states, which of the following is a correct statement about weather and climate? Okay, so we're being asked to choose the correct statement about weather and climate. So let's go ahead and look at the answer choices to see which one give correct statements about weather and climate. A says, climate and weather are completely interchangeable terms. Well, that's not true. Weather is what is happening at a given time. So like right now, the weather in South Carolina is pretty nice. It's 70 degrees, it's nice and sunny. Okay, that would be the weather here. The climate, however, I'm not too familiar with because climate is looking at the weather over an extended period of time. So climate is looking at the change in weather. And I haven't lived here long enough to be able to tell you how much the weather has changed. So climate is about how the weather changes over a long period of time. So A is incorrect because weather and climate are not interchangeable. B says, weather is how hot or cold it is, while climate is how wet or dry it is. Okay, we just talked about what weather and climate are, so B is incorrect. C says, weather is a physical description of the environment during a short period of time, while climate is the average weather that is documented over a longer period of time. That's exactly right. That's exactly what weather and climate are. So C is correct, and just to double check, we look at D. D says, weather is a local description of the atmosphere, while climate is described by observing the coldest day in winter. Okay, that's ridiculous, right? You can't determine what the climate is by just looking at one day out of the entire season. In fact, you can't even determine what the climate is based on one day out of the year. You have to look at the weather over a long period of time. So that's talking about multiple years, right? So the correct answer is answer choice C, and I hope that that made sense for you guys. So hopefully you guys found this video informative. Hopefully you guys learned something from the video, and I definitely hope that you share this information with your friends and loved ones or people you know who might not be sold on the concepts of science, and definitely hope that you guys continue to look out for more of the videos that we're going to be releasing on this channel. And if you're new to this channel, I welcome you to Intuition. Go ahead and subscribe, become part of the family, help us grow, and help us to reach more people so that way we can have positive impact on our culture and on our society. I'll leave you guys with that, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye-bye.